It was a really, really hot summer day. The kind of hot, dry, humid weather that really only those of us in the South can fully understand. It was the kind of heat that you just sweat looking outside. The kind of heat where, I guess you get it. It was hot, okay? But of all the places to be on a really hot day, I was standing at a graveside as support for a family in my church. Now, I didn't really know anyone there that well, but as a pastor, it's just sort of the job description. We were there to take care of this family. And I stood there dressed in a long sleeve dress shirt, a tie, and a suit jacket. And it was so hot, I was sweating like a turkey in November. I don't know if I mentioned it, but it was hot. As one of the pastors was reading scripture at this graveside, the funeral director walked over to me and he whispered in my ear and he just said, "Hey, I'm going to run home real quick and I'm going to get a few more shovels." And he said, "You guys are going to help me fill this grave." And I just laughed in myself. I thought, this guy's joking. And as I laughed, I watched him walk away from me. He walked over to his pickup truck. He got in it and he drove away. I couldn't believe it. I thought maybe this guy is serious. He returned about 10 minutes later, as he said, with extra shovels. And on this hot summer day, in a suit, sweating like a hot dog at a weenie roast, I filled a casket in a grave with a shovel. I didn't even know that something like that was legal, but it turns out in the country, in this county where this was taking place, it was legal. See, in that day, in that moment, I was so caught up in the shock of my experience that I was about to fill a grave that honestly, I had disconnected from what this family was going through. I had really disconnected from the pain of the loss that they were experiencing. And it wasn't until about probably a week later that I received in the mail a handwritten card from this family, just expressing their deep appreciation for my presence during the time of their loss and ultimately for my participation in the entire ceremony, probably extra for filling the grave. But my question for us today is this. How many of us, as we lead in whatever capacity of influence that we have, get more focused on the heat or the discomfort, the shock, the clothes, or even the bizarre circumstances, that we forget that the people right in front of us, they're in pain, and that our response as leaders has the ability to create a powerful moment. Today, in part 3 of our series discussing the power of moments, I want to talk about the moments of pain and how, with paying attention to really 3 key details as the leaders, they can be used to create powerful moments for the people that you lead and that you serve. So welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast, the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. Let's get started.
Well, that's excellent.
Well, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Mind Your Business podcast. If this brings value to your life, will you do me a favor? Please like, share, subscribe, and share this with others. Leave a review. I want to add as much value to as many people as possible. In this series of the podcast, I hope you've enjoyed. We've been discussing the power of moments, and we've been learning from Chip and Dan Heath and their book, The Power of Moments. Our goal has been to learn ways to leverage the different moments in our life to increase the quality of our leadership. And if you haven't read that book, I would encourage you to go out and to pick that up. In the first episode of this series, we talked about the power and the moments of transition and how we can take those transitional moments to make a powerful moment. In the second episode, we talked about making moments from our milestones. And today, in our final episode in this series, I want to talk about moments of pain. The truth is, we've all experienced painful moments in our lives. Honestly, you're either in one right now, you're walking out of one, or you're about to walk into one. Unfortunately, if we're honest, it's just a part of life. But have you ever noticed that it can be impactful, the response that others have during times like this? Like, it's really powerful to think about the difference that we can make when people are going through moments of pain. So today, I want to share a story that I thought was really impactful from the book. It's about a man named Doug Dietz. Doug is an industrial designer from General Electric. And he talks about working hard, pouring his life, his passion for 2 years into working on a brand new MRI machine for General Electric. And after pouring his life into this project, he talks about the day that it was finally time for it to be installed and for it to be tested. He was so excited that he said he did a happy dance when he first saw it put in place. He was there the day that the very first patient was scheduled to use it. With anticipation and excitement, he watched as a young couple walked their daughter down this long hallway leading to the MRI room. Then he noticed the little girl was crying and that the dad was trying to encourage her to be brave. And as soon as she walked in and then she saw the MRI machine, he said she just froze in terror. And that was the moment that Dietz didn't just see the machine that he had created, but he saw the little girl. He experienced the room through her eyes. And then on the wall, he begins to look around and he sees a giant warning sign with a magnet and an exclamation point. And there was yellow and black tape on the floor like a crime scene. The room was sterile and dim with flickering lights. It brings a scene of like a horror movie to mind. And Dietz said that the machine that he had designed basically just looked like a big brick with a hole in it. And he knew that as she stood there frozen in fear, that it was honestly, it was only going to get worse. She would be put in that claustrophobic chamber, made to lay there for 30 minutes, and then somehow just ignore the loud, crazy, scary noises that were coming from this machine. And not only could he see the terror in her eyes, but the defeat on the face of her parents. He said that it all broke his heart. This moment of pain brought on an incredibly powerful lesson, and it's a powerful lesson for all of us. For Dietz, he realized that he had been so focused on the machine and how to make it faster, more powerful, that he'd forgotten to focus on the experience of the person. He would go on to say he went back to the drawing board and he began to rethink the entire process. He took this painful moment as an opportunity to create a powerful moment. He began to look at the experience through the eyes of a child. He began thinking, what if the MRI machine wasn't a machine, but instead maybe a spaceship or a submarine? He began to reframe the entire process like an adventure. That long, scary hallway would become a themed journey through a jungle with painted rocks and koi fish all over the floor. And kids instinctively would just jump rock to rock until they reach the MRI room. And then when they enter, it's a colorful jungle scene that matches the journey they had just taken down the long hallway. The MRI table would lower so kids could climb on top. And it had been redesigned to look like a hollowed out canoe. And the kids were told to be still and to hold on so that the canoe wouldn't tip over as it floated through the jungle. See, this strategy changed the game and the experience for the kids and the families who had experienced this MRI machine. Not only was it so powerful that this strategy was duplicated in hospitals all over, and it's a part of what GE calls their adventure series. They have space themes, pirate themes, and even a cable car adventure in San Francisco Hospital. Listen to the difference that these little changes have made in the lives of these kids. The number of kids that need sedation to complete an MRI dropped from 80% to 27%, and only 3% for the shorter CT scans. Previously, it took about 10 minutes to get a child on the table for the MRI, but after it dropped to 1 minute. See, this is a powerful example of what can happen when we think about the experience of others in moments of pain. So let me ask you a question. What could happen in your organization or in your influence if you thought about the impact that you can have by focusing on the power of painful moments? And I want to offer us 3 simple things to look for so that you can better the experience of your team and your customers and those around you. By taking just a moment to recognize these moments of pain and to care about the person, to not only recognize the product or the profit or all of the processes that are involved, but look to the people. So number 1, I want you to see the person. See the person. Let's be honest. It's easy to lose the person in the percentages. You're worried about customer satisfaction scores, you have churn rates, staffing, and payroll. But don't forget that in the middle of all of that is a person. Every contract written, every product sold, every email that is sent, every ad that is placed has an individual person that is attached to it. In October 2021, my mom was diagnosed with an extremely rare and aggressive brain cancer. She passed shortly in May of 2022. And for me, that was an extremely painful season of my life. My mom was incredible and just a best friend. Now, when my mom passed, I had to cancel a dentist appointment with my dentist that was literally minutes from my house. And so I called them and I explained the reason that I had to cancel, that my mom had just died of brain cancer and that I wasn't going to make it to that appointment. And they said, okay. That was it. Just okay. And I thought, what a missed opportunity. And then after her death, the hospital, they only sent bills, not even an I'm sorry, not even a we're so sorry for what you've experienced and what you've walked through. See, we were just another family on the conveyor belt of care. What a missed opportunity. During this season of her sickness, I had been taking care of my mom. She was living in my home, and we had been caring for her, my wife and I. And during this time, I had been helping my mom with some insurance through my insurance agents at Sparks Insurance in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I was just trying to get her things in order. And ultimately, we didn't know that she was going to pass when she did. And so after this happened, I called my insurance agent, and I just let them know that I wouldn't be needing the insurance for my mom because she had just passed. And then after the dentist experience and the hospital experience, my mind was blown that days later, I received a card in the mail stating their sincere condolences. The hospital in my city, the dentist miles away, just said, okay. They just sent bills. See, the dentist and the doctor, they saw business. But my insurance agents, they saw a person. It was so impactful that here I am now telling you about it 2 years later. They made a memorable moment from a moment of pain. And all it cost was a card, a stamp, and a few minutes of their time. And I'll dare you to convince me to change insurance agents. See, I think it was worth their time, for this customer at least, and all the dozens of other people that I've recommended to their office. So what could change in your organization and in your leadership if you just see the person? See the person. The second thing I would tell you is to see the pain. See the pain that people are going through. There are people that you lead. There are people that you employ, people that you manage, or people that you have relationship with that are in pain. They're smiling on the outside, but they have pain on the inside, and you haven't even taken time to recognize it. We have to become so conditioned to the chaos and the demands of our life that it has just become normal. We just see the demands, we see all the chaos, we see everything that's happening around us, and it's just normalcy, not to recognize the pains of others. It happened to me again. My son was born in 2016, and he was born 2 months early, and we had an incredibly difficult experience having our son. And after he was born, he was weighing as low as 3 pounds and 15 ounces. He would cry for at least 12 hours a day for 7 months straight. See, he had some digestive issues that he just had to grow out of. And as parents who loved their newborn son, we were doing everything that we could do to get him some help. We were trying different formulas, and we were doing all the different dietary things. And I mean, everything you can imagine, we were trying to do. And we were waiting for months to get on a schedule to see a children's doctor. I mean, we couldn't get an appointment. We had to wait and wait and wait. And I was so relieved the day that our appointment had finally arrived, only to be met by a doctor that walked us in and gave us the new parents treatment like we were overreacting. See, he didn't even take 2 seconds to introduce himself, to call us by name, or even to hear what we were experiencing. He missed an opportunity to see the pain in the eyes of a desperate family looking for help. Now, let's just say that after our conversation, he was a lot more aware of his need to see people and the pain that they were in. In your leadership, I want you to take a moment to see beneath the surface. People are hurting. Create a powerful moment for them. And then number 3, I want you to see the potential. I think this will increase the care and the quality and the culture of your company. See the potential. Take a moment and think about the difference that you could make even today through moments of pain. How can you make a powerful moment through the pain points of those that you lead. This is an incredible true story about a man in 2011 that was traveling from Los Angeles to Denver to visit his grandson who was in the hospital and was dying. Now, his original flight with another airline had gotten delayed and he had missed the connection. So this man rebooked with Southwest Airlines, hoping that he could make it in time. Now, unfortunately, he was caught in heavy traffic as he was getting to the airport and he arrived late. Now, many of us know this. In most cases, the plane would have already left, but the Southwest Airlines pilot had been informed about the man's situation, and he personally made the decision to delay the flight. And when this man finally made it to the gate, he was greeted by none other than the pilot himself. And the man just began thanking the pilot for waiting. And the pilot responded with these words, "No problem. They can't leave without me anyway." Not only did this impact the family that was trying desperately to reach their loved one, but it impacted the internal and external culture of Southwest Airlines. A Southwest Airline employee was interviewed and said this, that as you're reading the story, you absolutely get tears in your eyes. Just an overwhelming sense of pride that our pilot took such an action. It really makes you proud to work for Southwest. There's so much potential for impact during moments of pain. And all the people that you lead, there are people in your organization right now today that are struggling with pain. And it is a tremendous opportunity for you to see the person, to look beneath the surface, and to make a difference. I want to encourage you today to see the people that are around you. See the pain that they are experiencing and the potential that you have to make a difference. This is what separates you, your leadership, and your company from all of the competition. And if you want to train your team to create any of these powerful moments that we've discussed in this 3-part series, I would personally love to help. You can use the links in the show notes to connect with me and find out how I can add value to your organization. So be sure to share your thoughts across all of my social media platforms. And as always, if this added value to you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share. Leave a review, because this helps to ensure we can reach as many people as possible. So thanks again for being a part of the Mind Your Business podcast, the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. We'll see you next time.